All right, so as of a couple days ago, I actually had ultimately pulled the plug on making this video. I decided that I wasn't going to do it, and the video was going to be about setting up this guitar from start to finish. A friend had dropped it off to me, and he had told me it needed a lot of work, and I was up for that challenge. I loved that. And I brought it down and cracked it open, and it was trashed. Filthy was the first part, and then, just a lot of things wrong with it. And as I started examining it and going over exactly what I was gonna need to do, I realized that there was a major problem that I simply didn't know what I was gonna do about it. I was gonna have to teach myself. Nothing was gonna stop me. I was gonna watch some videos and figure it out and stuff. But if I had filmed that whole thing, it would have been a 3-hour video of me trying to figure this stuff out, where I'd rather just deliver direct, available information whenever I can. But so then, like I said, I decided I'm just gonna set it up on my own, take my time with it, figure this stuff out, and then I'll come out better equipped on the other side for the next time something like this arises. So during that process though, I came across an epiphany that really changed the way I'm gonna do setups forever. I'm now armed with some awesome knowledge and tools that I didn't have before. And I'm stoked about that I'd like to share with anyone who's interested today. And I'll just quick disclaimer say that if you're somebody that knows everything about the setup process and what to do in every scenario, there's no need to continue watching. I don't need to know that. So just telling you right now. But for what I'm guessing is more of you, perhaps the majority, based on the questions and comments I see all the time about guys wanting specifics about measurements and, action measurements, pickup heights, radius, things like that to get a really nice setup with an adjustable saddle bridge like this or, whatever. That's what I want to share with you today, what I learned about that. So if you're interested, let's continue. If not, hey, thanks for clicking. Maybe on the next one, I'll get you with something you're more interested in. So as I said, when I cracked this thing open, it was trashed, and I started noticing some of the problems here, and I actually made myself a little list here so that I can name everything off kind of as I'm going through here. I was actually gonna name this video before I knew all I was getting into. I just knew it needed a lot of work, and I'm like, all right, there's my video idea right there. This guitar needs a ton of work and we're gonna make that happen. Or this guitar needs a ton of TLC, let's do it. That was gonna be my title and stuff. But like I said, as I got into it, I'm like, shit, I don't think I could do that. So I started getting into it on myself. First problem, nothing major, but missing a truss rod cover. Nothing I could do about that. I don't have any extra. By the way, this is a Solar S1. Badass looking, if I may say so myself, especially now that it's all cleaned up. The job's done, as much as I could do with it. But I couldn't replace the truss rod cover. Like I said, it was filthy, but I like that, Took all the strings off, just stripped it down, went to town and restored it as best I could. I'll get into more of that later, but it looks great again. Got it cleaned up, no big deal, right? Everybody can do that. The neck pickup, which I'm assuming is an 85 there, is deactivated along with the tone knob. And my friend said he'd like me to hook those back up, and I am no expert in that department. I've swapped out pickups a couple times in my life. I've made a couple fixes, like if a pickup wire comes loose from a tone pot or something like that, I can solder it back on. I've done some stuff like that, but I really don't know a ton about that. But I can follow a wiring diagram online or open up the back of another guitar. That's what I thought. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna open up another guitar that has 2 active pickups, a volume and a tone, and I'll just look at everything and just reverse engineer that and be able to figure this out. But I ran into major problems with that. We'll get into that. The blade switch, the blade toggle is just not there. Loose screws all over the place. The output jack nut was loose. All the tuner nuts were loose and everything. So again, no big deal there. Got all that stuff tightened up, buttoned everything up so it was solid. The huge major problem was the bridge. There were 3 of these springs missing. Every saddle had been zeroed out. Some were, I could just tell it wasn't how it was supposed to be. Some were way up to the front, some were way up to the back. And he warned me of that. He's like, it needs a complete, all the strings were jammed against the fretboard. The truss, the neck looked warped. So that was my major problem right there. When I was looking at this bridge, I'm like, ooh, I've set up a lot of adjustable saddle bridges, fixed bridges like this, but I've just always done it by feel. And that's what I tell people in the comments. When they ask about the specific measurements, I'm like, I don't know, I just do it by feel. I figure out, what feels good in the radius. I look at it, I know it's supposed to be like that, but I never did anything scientific, based on the actual radius of the fretboard, which is what you're supposed to do. So my setups weren't scientific at all, but they felt all right to me, so I thought I was doing the right thing. But that was the biggest challenge for me. I was like, man, I want to do this right, and I really don't know kind of where to start. A lot of the times, if I get one from ESP or something like that, and adjustments had been made or somebody else's or whatever, at least they're kind of close in the ballpark. This was completely like zeroed out. There were huge gouges in the bridge plate where I could tell somebody had tried to adjust the intonation, like without loosening the screws, and just cranked it back, and the grub screws had made big, like, track marks in the bridge plates. I fixed that up, totally DIY style. We'll talk more about that. Well, let's go ahead and look at the, oh shit, I put this back on. I should have left it off. Let's look at the electronics and I'll talk about that. And then we're gonna get into the meat of this, which is that bridge and the ultimately excellent setup that I ended up getting out of this thing. I'm pretty proud of myself, got it going. And that's, again, what I want to share with you guys today and how I did it and stuff. So when we look in here, so I believe this guitar comes with Fishman's, so it didn't have a battery. They installed one here. And then the major problem was, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go on to EMG.com, and they have great wiring diagrams on there. So I just looked, there's a bunch of choices. So I saw 2 active pickups, 1 volume, 1 tone. I was like, great, clicked on that. But it didn't look like what this looks like. In fact, so there's my volume in there, and it has like a circuit board on it. And you can see this is using the Clip Connect system, their Quick Connect system. I mean, did I say that right? But my tone pot doesn't look like the tone pot in the wiring schematic. Their tone pot has a circuit board on there and the Quick Connect system. And the blade toggle has a circuit board on there too. I don't know if I've ever even seen one of those. Maybe I have, but I realized I didn't have the parts. I didn't have a tone knob like that I could put in there. I didn't have a blade switch. I got tons of blade switches, but maybe they're old school or something. They're no Quick Connect. So I would have had to figure out how to solder all that kind of stuff. And I was like, at the end of the day, I was like, man, I'm just not gonna mess around with that. If you really want that, it still functions, like you heard at the beginning of this video, with just the bridge pickup and a volume, which is the way I like it anyways. But he wanted to put back to normal. Unfortunately, I couldn't do that for him. Or I just decided not to, I should say. If there were a gun to my head, I would have somehow figured out how to make it happen. I'm sure I could have asked the community as well, or I could have found an older schematic without the Quick Connect system, and maybe I would have had the right parts for that and everything. But hey, I thought, he even told me, if you can't make that happen, cool. So I decided to leave that be. But I was not gonna let the bridge hold me back. So it was basically completely starting from scratch. And this part of the video we're gonna go into right here is, I don't know, I'm like apprehensive about saying it because it's gonna feel like an ad. And, oh shit, is this camera still filming? Yes, it is. Okay, good. Sorry, just my monitor went down. So I can't see myself, but no big deal. One more time, I'm gonna check. Yes, okay. What I was saying. What I'm about to say here, and a product I'm gonna show you, is gonna feel like an ad, but I assure you it's not. I promise it's not. One of the things I take pride in on this channel is I only talk about things that I think that are gonna be of value to people, that I think will help people, and things that I love. I would never talk about anything just to make a buck. I would never talk about anything that I didn't back or like or anything. I have promoted products in the past for sure, but I'm just telling you about this product because of what it did for me, and I hope it can do the same for you. So I didn't know where to start with this, and I looked it up, you know, like setting up a Strat style bridge, and I came across the Music Nomad stuff. They have fantastic videos on this stuff, so I found. And I started watching this, and they kept referring to their Keep It Simple kit, and I said to myself, I have that. Yes, they sent it to me about, I don't know, a year ago or something like that, but I never even really checked it out. I'm embarrassed to say, but honestly, I just asked them for some polish, and one day, like a year ago, and they were totally cool, and they're like, yeah, and they ended up sending me a bunch of other stuff too. And they sent me this Keep It Simple kit. But I never even really, I mean, I looked at it, of course. I'm like, okay, so it comes with the screwdriver and wrench set. I'm like, oh, cool. Man, I got all these tools in here that I already like. And there's a truss rod set. All the different truss rods you could do, you could need. But I already have my truss rod tools in here that I'm used to, that I like. And then there's this precision setup gauge 6-piece set. I recently labeled this. Now that I'm in love with this, I'm like, shit, I'm gonna use this all the time. I want it so I know exactly what's what, so I label it on here. But this, and I'm like, what is all this stuff? You know, man, this looks confusing. You know, all this, oh man. But this is the action gauges and how you need to do it. We're gonna get into that in a sec. Radius guides, I'm like, oh, which one do I need? I don't know, you know? So I didn't care, honestly, about this kind of stuff. I was stuck in my ways where I just did it the way I always wanted to do it, which was by feel. But with this, like I said, I wanted to do it the right way. So I'm watching this video of a Music Nomad guy setting it up, and he walks through every stage of the setup process using the Keep It Simple kit. And I'm like, oh, excellent. So I got into this and I started following it, but then I turned it off and just decided to go because, why did I even close this up? It comes with this book, which is fantastic. It's super comprehensive, meaning packed with information and super easy to read, and tells you every single thing the way to go. So here's the flow for individually adjustable saddles. There's fixed radius bridge saddles. There's Floyd, you know, like Floyd stuff. It has it all. But here, right, the first thing is individually adjustable saddles. So there's the pre-setup steps. Remove strings. This is a big one. With the strings off, use the radius gauge, measure and take note of the fretboard radius, as you will need this info when you measure your string radius in the setup process. All right, so my epiphany is building here. I'm like, okay, good. This is cool. Now I'm gonna know the radius of this guitar. I could have looked it up. In fact, I did. I looked at the Solar website, it said like 13.78 or whatever, and none of these were that. So I went with the closest, which was 14. But as I put it on there, sure enough, you know, so you just set it on there, and it shows you exactly how to do all this kind of stuff in here. But I just set it on there and I figured it out. I tried every single one just to make sure, and I figured out that the 14 was the radius. So good. So now I know that my radius is 14 for this particular guitar, and it says save that information because you're going to need it later. Then tighten all screws, including tuning machines, bushings, you know, and stuff like that. So, which I had already done, but it says using the Guitar Tech tool set, which is the screwdriver and wrench set. And this is badass. Oh. So this thing, I'd seen it when, you know, over the past few months, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But this thing right here is perfect. It has a certain one for that. You know, you could turn it, you find it for your output jack. It has ones you could do the tuners with. And if anybody who's seen some of my other videos, I always used like this pair of pliers to tighten my tuning nuts on top there. And a lot of time I'd slip and scratch, and guys chimed in the comments, oh, I did the same thing, you know? And it was not the right way, the proper way to do it. This is plastic that won't scratch anything, but it's super hard, durable plastic. And I put it on there, I'm like, ah, badass. I wish I knew about that before. Then you could take this guy. It's also got this cool thing. I forget what it's called right now, but this works for everything. You know, it could do any size, so you don't even have to find a size. Put it on there like that, killer. To tighten up nuts and stuff. Then this goes right in here, and you got yourself like a screwdriver with all these individual things. So, you know, you got regular bits, flathead, Phillips head, and then all the Allen wrench stuff. So killer. So I found this is the right one here. This is perfect for my grub screws. Excellent. So we'll get into that later, because in the past, anytime I needed to tighten grub screws or something like that, I'd fumble around with all my just individual Allen wrenches that are here, unlabeled and stuff, trying to find the right one and stuff, but killer. Now I got this good to go. So that came in super handy. Let's move on. Clean and condition the fretboard with the F1 oil. So went and did that. They sent me the F1 oil. Cleaned the body and neck with Music Nomad cleaners. Did that. I love this polish. This is what I was after initially, the Guitar One. And then put new strings on. Now you're ready to start the setup. Okay, I'm just gonna brush over this. I'm not gonna read every page, and but the points of interest here. Then truss rod, great. I have my own videos on adjusting truss rods. I feel like I know what I'm doing with that. But I did it all by sight. Some of you guys have seen the video on that where I'm like this, and I'm like, I have no way to show in the camera how to do that. What I'm actually looking at. I couldn't get the camera to focus to get the string like parallel with the neck and with a little bit of relief and stuff, which is the way I like it. But this tells you exactly how to do it. And it's got a truss rod set. Again, I had some truss rod tools, but this is dialed in. Any guitar, you can look online and see what the truss rod nut is. This one happened to be a 4mm, I believe. Cool. I had a 4mm wrench, so that's nothing big there. But it's got the ones like, it's got everything you need for truss rods, no matter what it's gonna be. Whether it's at the heel or the headstock there or whatever, that's cool. But actually how to measure the truss rod was what was cool. So how to use the truss rod gauge. They send you this little pick capo, which is cool because, I've watched videos or read before about doing truss rods and you have to like hold with two hands and this kind of stuff and everything. But this thing right here is rad. So you got that first step was to hold down the 6th string at the 1st fret. So you just get that in there. It's got the line. It's like they thought of everything. There's so many things along this and I'm like, well, what about this? But it says what to do in any scenario with this kind of stuff. So you put it into playing position with your finger, press on the low E string at the 12th fret, and then gently slide the gauge. There's this nut height gauge, but I didn't end up using that, but this is the truss rod gauge. One's for acoustic, one's for electric, one's for bass, one's for classical. And then it tells you, after you do that, like this, you hold here, you put it underneath the 6th fret. If you feel a lot of, it's like tight under there, it doesn't want to fit. If the gauge is resting on the fret, does not touch the low E string when you stick that in there, turn the truss rod clockwise. If the gauge is resting on the fret heavily and touches and lifts up the low E string as you try to slide it in there, turn the truss rod counterclockwise. Gauge resting on the fret lightly touches the E string, perfect. No adjustment is required. So now, there's no guesswork. This thing, it worked awesome. That was perfect. Okay, so got the truss rod going scientifically, not just by feel. So I like that. And then next is the action of the strings. So now we're getting into what I really wanted to know about. So it comes with this gauge here, which has everything you can want to know. Again, when I first looked at this thing, I'm like, no way, too much information. But now, now that I took the time to try to understand it, the time maybe 30 seconds to understand it, it's brilliant. It has the actions for if you like a low medium, a medium high. It even says this one's the most common. So if you're not sure, just go with that. And it tells you the heights. And then again, you put the capo in there. It has all the instructions and you go like this and you find the line that corresponds with the 100th of an inch. And you just figure that out. So then using the grub screws at your saddle, raise and lower it accordingly to how you want your action. Low, medium, high, and it tells you exactly how to measure that. Do the 6th string, and then you go to the 1st string and do the same thing. So I'm gonna hold down the 1st string, and you figure that out. It tells you the measurements, exactly what to do there, and that's how you do your action. You do just the 6th string and the 1st string. And then the radius is kind of like that with your fretboard. Ours was a 14. So, or this particular case was a 14. So you get the outsides and then you do all the middles with the next tool. Let me just make sure I'm not skipping over anything, or this will sound like more of an idiot. Let's see, yep, use the one most common to what you want. So you do the outer ones. And then next is how to use the radius gauge. You must know the fretboard radius prior to the step, which is what we did, and it told you that beforehand. So I determined it was 14. You will have to set the 2 outer strings. Now you will set your inner string heights by using the radius gauge that matches your fretboard radius. Set the gauge on the strings about a quarter inch in front of the saddles, then adjust your inner saddles so that the strings touch the gauge. So I got the 14. And you just set it there. It's at a quarter inch in front of the saddles. And because they were all zeroed out, the strings were way low and flat. And I could see that as I'm looking at it like this, you know? And then, so I got my gimmick. I'd already had it set up because I did the 1st and the 6th. It tells you how to keep the saddles level, equal each side. And then you go like this, and you just start raising them up until they touch this. And in the key, or the video, I saw one of the keys the guy said is that he brings it up enough to where he hears it. Listen, that string isn't ringing true. So you bring it up just to that, oh, sorry, that's in there. But you just want it touching this just barely, and you can easily determine that because it gets hard to see as it gets a little closer, especially if you don't have good lighting or whatever. So you definitely give yourself some good lighting. But you bring it up, it'll ring true. And as you put this on there, I brought it up just enough to where it's hitting it just a little here. So, and that'll make that 14-inch radius or whatever your guitar has. And you bring it up, and that was perfect. And that was killer. And as I was going, actually string by string, I started with the 6, and then at first I brought it off and started playing it. And I'm like, yeah, that does feel good. Wow, great, it's working so far. Did the 1st string, brought it out, played that for just the 1st string. Okay, action feels great. That works. Must be, I like the most common action. I always thought I liked a super low action, which I do. So I thought just by feel, but perhaps that's what's most common. Then got the middle ones, got it all done, tuned up all that. And I'm like, God damn, this feels like a great setup. Okay, so we did that. Next was to use the nut height gauge for adjusting the nut, but I didn't mess with that. I didn't think I needed to. I've never messed with the nut, as a matter of fact. I get comments about that. Guys say, how do you file the nut and stuff like that? That's something I've just never done. I've never needed to. At least I don't think I did. Yep, and it tells you how to file a nut. Although this doesn't come with, at least I didn't see, I hope I'm not missing anything, but it didn't come with the nut filers. So, which look like that. But I don't know. I just don't want to mess around with that. Then, after that was all set, the intonation. And I've got intonation videos, and I feel like I knew how to do that too. This didn't teach me anything new, but they explained it in a great way. Check this out. The intonation adjustment is what makes the fretted notes play in tune with the open string. Perfectly tune the string you will intonate with a finger, press down at the 12th fret, and play the note. If the note is perfectly in tune, no adjustment needed, and go to the next string. If the note is flat, adjust the saddle forward by turning the saddle adjustment screw. If it is sharp, adjust the saddle backwards. After you move the saddle, repeat step 1. Be sure to retune your open string. So I knew that, and I would always teach a method called chasing the tuner. If you did that if your string's perfectly in tune, if you hit the 12th, and if your fretted 12th fret was sharp, you chase the tuner. You see that it's sharp of center, so you need to move your saddle backwards. If it's flat of center, move it. So that's cool, but you gotta think about that and stuff. I like seeing it right here, and I bet you would too. Just being able to reference this, because how often are you intonating a guitar? It's one of those things where you kind of need a refresh. It's like, for me, it's working on an Evertune bridge, where I know how to perfectly set up an Evertune bridge, but I still have to give myself like a little refresher each time, you know, and it's good. And the Evertune website is fantastic for telling you exactly the steps to do it in, exactly what to look for, exactly what does what, and I love it. I just give myself a quick refresher, spend 2 minutes reading it again, and then I go into it confidently. So I like that. This will be the same thing, you know, even though I know the chase the tuner thing in my mind, because I've done it a bunch of times now, it's still just nice to have it seen in front of you. Also, this is something I learned about intonation. Didn't know this before. If you play high on the neck, which I do, play a lot of solos, be sure to check your intonation at the 17th fret as well. You may find it is out of tune even though the 12th fret is perfect. Try to get both of them as close as you can, splitting the difference if necessary. On an instrument with 2 strings per saddle, we don't need to know that. 2 strings per saddle. What's that, a 12 string? Yeah, maybe. So anyways, so I did that with this intonation. So I did my 12th, got the intonation just right, easy, ba 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 ba. Oh, like I said, this was missing 3 of the springs back there, but I was able to find some from an old bass bridge that I had, one of Jim LaMarca's, and I was able to replace those. And I did all the 3 silvers here for the bass strings and the 3 blacks. I don't know if you could tell that in the video, if you could see that these are silver and those are black, you know, for the treble, just to keep it consistent there. But did the intonation perfectly. And as I was going, I did it at the 17th fret too, which I had never done before. And I noticed that there was a couple discrepancies on 1 or 2 of the strings, and I balanced that out. Bottom line, I can't wait to tell my friend who's picking this up tomorrow, that I feel that this is the best setup I have ever done. And it is solely because I did it by the book. And that's what's changed for me. I'm now gonna do these by the book because number 1, it's simple, and number 2, it's gonna be right. This worked, it was my first time and it turned out perfectly. Now I'm totally armed with the information and these tools, and I'm confident to go into my next one, knowing that now I can do this perfectly without any guesswork. And that is the beauty of it. That's what I wanted to share with you today. Again, I don't get anything. If you buy this, it doesn't matter to me. It's just a recommendation from one guitar player, one guy who loves working on guitars, to another. So I hope you'll check it out. I will link it for you in the description below so you can check it out for yourself. Get it from wherever you want. If you're gonna get it, it is a worthwhile investment. Comes with my stamp of approval if that matters to you. And I recommend it. All the Music Nomad stuff. I have talked about this a ton. The Music Nomad tool. It's just killer. I use this thing every single day for stuff. Allows me to get into places that I'm bored. So I've promoted this a billion times, again, because it's just something I love and wanted to tell you guys. So that's it. Job done. I'm looking forward to the next one. I got a guitar right here. You guys have seen a lot of videos that I've just done by feel. My ESP GL56. Look, it's got the same bridge, or similar, you know what I mean? Same style. And I've just done it by feel. And now that I did this one, and I can even see the way it is and how it plays, that this one's jacked up, that I thought was cool before. I can't wait to work on this one and get it going. You'll probably see it in the future. And well, you'll have to take my word for it that it's gonna feel better than it does right now. It's probably the tuning's gonna be more true, and it's gonna be killer. So, all right, I'm gonna stop yapping. I hope this was helpful. One last thing I was gonna say, the bridge plate. So it had those big grooves in it, and like the metal underneath almost looked like gold where the black paint had been stripped away. And so I took everything off, cleaned it all up, and I just used a black Sharpie, and I just carefully filled in those lines, little by little. You know, I was gonna pull the whole bridge plate and spray paint it, you know, which would maybe been the proper way, but I don't know. I was just like, let me try this with a Sharpie, which I've done for nicks on different guitars before. If there's like a nick in there or something, you can see some wood, I've just used a Sharpie, and hey, it's better than nothing, you know? Only you can tell, you know? Only a mother can tell. And so anyways, that worked well. Now, I mean, if you take a super close look, you could see it maybe, but certainly looks better than it did before with those massive grooves in there. I wish I would have taken a picture of them before. So I know my guy's gonna be happy with that. Mission accomplished, appreciate it. If you've made it this far, comment with a little guitar or something, you know? And with whatever else comment you'd like to leave, but keep it positive. I'm begging. So thanks, Rob Arnold. Hope to see you again for the next setup. All the setup videos that I have will be linked in my guitar maintenance tutorial playlist below if you'd like to check out more. Love doing this stuff, love talking about it. Appreciate everybody who watched. See you on the next one, guys.